Hey guys, it's Kelly with Springfield Distillery. It is Whiskey Wednesday, and I've had a few participants trying out a few of the cocktails that I'm doing today, and it seemed to be a pretty big thumbs up, except for the fact some of these were a little sweet, so I'm going to try and cut back a little bit on the sweetness and that stuff, just to see if that helps. I'm going to see if I can get comments going here. Sorry. See if I have them. Oh, I'm not writing one. I'm hoping that there is one. Anyway, if you guys are commenting, just so I know that you're there, I'd really appreciate it. And let me know what you think of the cocktails. I will tell you that I am doing some of my favorite whiskeys today. I'm really excited about the fact that I've got the orange whiskey, which is probably my absolute favorite. The brown sugar cinnamon is also a really popular one. The maple, and then the 1842. I think those are going to be the ones that I'm going to play with today for the most part. Oh, and the mint. So I've literally picked my favorites. I think I've picked all of my favorites for today. Thanks, Kat. I'm so happy you're here. Not even though you're not with me, but you're there, so that counts. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first one I'm going to do, I'm going to try and go less sweet to sweet today, because this first one is pretty sour. It's actually done with grapefruit, but I really like it. It's done with our orange whiskey. And I'm going to do it from less sweet to sweet, because that is kind of how I drink, but and from my favorites and that. I'm going to see if I can do that in order, but that's kind of hard because I feel like the last one is going to be left out. So I'm going to start with just a little bit of ice in my tasting jar. And I'm going to put 1 ounce of orange whiskey in this. So as you guys know, my favorite whiskey, this is the one that I drink with just club soda. If I was going to have pretty much a cocktail at home, I was going to do it, it would be this. It would be Food Lion Lemon Lime Seltzer, my absolute favorite. Or I would do some of these seltzers. Let me show you. I picked a couple of these. Sorry, I didn't bring them in here. These are from Walmart. This Moscow Mule one, this one is super good. For any of you guys that are watching your sugar, I would recommend doing this Moscow Mule with either the 1842, the maple if you want just a little bit of sweetness. The peach would be super good in this. The honey whiskey, the brown sugar cinnamon, and you could really play these up. So if you guys want to do low carb, this is less than 1 carb by doing 1 shot of whiskey in it, and then just any of these seltzers. This orange mimosa one is really, really good from Walmart. And then this limoncello, I think I showed you guys this one on a Whiskey Wednesday before. Really super, super good with the mint, the peach, the cantaloupe, the honey. There's a lot of possibilities with that one. So if you're doing low carb, recommend those. And these Ahas, Kat introduced me to these, and I think these are really fabulous. They've got a nice flavor, a little bit more than a regular seltzer. So these are ones that I would do. In fact, I'm gonna pop this one so I have a little bit of sipping action myself. Yep, this one's good. The apple ginger, super good. Maple, the honey, brown sugar, cinnamon, all of those would be good. Okay, so back to my grapefruit. This is my 8 ounce tasting jar. I'm gonna add 1 ounce of the orange whiskey to it. And I did half and half with this grapefruit juice, and I think it was just a little bit too much. So I'm gonna cut back on the juice just a little bit with this and just fill it, because with the whiskey in it, I'm just gonna put a splash in this like halfway. Okay, just a splash of the grapefruit juice because it is kind of tart. And then I found these at Food Lion. So this is all Food Lion products. The Simply Grapefruit is only at Food Lion that I found. But these Polar half and half, this is half grapefruit, half lemon. And it's got just a little bit of sweetness in this. This is not low carb by any stretch. This is 29 carbs in here. But it's got a nice little flavor to it. And I think the sweetness in that with the grapefruit is really, really good. So I'm going to just top that off with this. And then what I'm going to do is add a good squeeze of orange, because I've used the orange whiskey. So I'm going to put a nice squeeze of the orange in this. And then I would tell you that if you guys think that this is a little sour, let me give this a little shot with the orange in that. Oh, see, I like this. It's got that tartness of the grapefruit to it. If you think it's a little bit tart, if you find it a little bit tart, this is one you could substitute that orange whiskey for the maple. I think the maple would be really good in it. I think the honey would also be super good with this one. or even do the peach and the grapefruit. That might pair pretty nicely. I'm not sure. We'd have to try that one a little bit. But I would do this with a little honey simple syrup if it's just not sweet enough. My taste testers are leaving me. So that's the grapefruit one. I will cut back on that grapefruit. I'm just going to put a splash in that. But I like it, especially if you guys don't like sweet. That would be one that I would actually do for that. So this next one is going to be with the maple. I did this is with the apricot. I think this apricot just has a really good fall flavor to it. So I took, as you guys have seen, I've done these before. I take the 1 jar of the apricot preserves, and then I add 50% boiling water. So if this is 18 ounces, I'm going to put about 18 ounces in, and put about 8 ounces of boiling water in there, about half in that. And it's just to get it enough so it's a little bit liquid. So it's just enough that it's gonna be soluble when I add it to the cocktails. So in this one, I'm gonna take the maple whiskey. This is probably my second favorite whiskey right now. I'm gonna do 1 ounce of the maple whiskey in this. Give it a nice sweet flavor. And this is gonna actually kind of like almost sweeten up this apricot just a little bit. And I'm gonna put just a smidge in that. Kathy got me this super cool little mason jar top that is just kind of like you're at IHOP with the syrups and that, but this works really great for these. And then I'm just gonna do ginger ale with this. I think that there's enough flavor in there. You could do a mule, you could do some ginger beer with this, but I think actually the ginger ale is just, keeps it so that the flavor of the whiskey and the apricot is still there. And I'm just gonna top this off, with a little bit of ginger ale. And that's gonna bubble over just a smidge. So careful, especially if the ginger ale is not cold, it will, it'll bubble quite a bit when you add it to syrups and the sugars. That orange is my favorite whiskey because it's not sweet. But if I wanted a sweet version, by hands down, the maple is my next favorite. This thing just pairs. The honey was always like on the top of the list. It was great. It's at 90 proof. If you guys want a little bit of kick, I would highly recommend the 90 proof honey. That would be really good with this. It would be just a little bit less sweet. Even though it's the honey, the 90 proof whiskey would actually give it a little bit more of that whiskey flavor to this. But I will tell you that this maple and the apricot and the ginger, I love you too, Charlie. This is really, really good. I just really like this one. If it's a little sweet, adding the garnish, doing just a little squeeze of the lemon to that is going to change that profile a lot. That's really good. I would do the lemon with it. Tasting room, nice squeeze of the lemon. I know it was a little sweet with just the maple and the apricot because of those preserves have a lot of sugar in them. So this one is, just a reminder, this is 1 ounce of the maple whiskey, about 1 ounce of apricot preserves that I've broken down, so it's like a puree that I made, and then just ginger ale. And this one's really good with a little squeeze of lemon, and I think it actually gives a really nice flavor. Really good. Okay. Next one I'm going to do is going to be our mule. I'm going to do this as a brown sugar mule. Not with the brown sugar cinnamon whiskey, although that would be super good with this one. I'm going to try and add a little bit of the brown sugar simple syrup that I made. I've made it before on Whiskey Wednesday. We did this when we did this out of our house. And so I took this, just the brown sugar, and I added equal parts of boiling water, and I made a brown sugar. So it's nice and syrupy. It's real soluble, so it's going to mix into my cocktails. And I'm going to do this one with the 1842 just because I think that 1842 with the ginger beer just pairs super, super well. So I'm going to do 1 ounce of the 1842 whiskey in my tasting jar, and I'm just going to do a tiny swirl of this brown sugar simple syrup because it is pretty sweet. So I'm just going to do just a couple little drizzles of that. And then, because I have not learned my lesson on the packaging for Gosling's ginger beer, which I've said this 1,000 times, their packaging is, I'm sorry, just the worst. I wish they would do the plastic on the top, but it comes in these little paper containers. I notoriously put them in the car. They flip out. So I lost 4 out of 6 ginger beers today, but I was able to salvage about 1 of them in a jar. So I put that in there thanks to Kat's little tip when I dropped it. And I'm just going to add the ginger beer to the whiskey and the just a little bit of brown sugar syrup. The 1842 and the ginger beer are super good if you don't like any sweetness, but if you want just a tiny bit of sweetness to it, you can add maple syrup, real maple syrup. You can add a honey simple syrup, or this brown sugar simple syrup that I made with the boiling water, I think is really good with this. That 1842 has got such a bite. It just pairs so nicely with the ginger beer. It's typically what we like to do in the tasting room as a mule. I really like the 1842 in a mule because it has some flavor. You can substitute that brown sugar simple syrup with any puree. You could have put the apricot into this one if you want a little bit more of a bite with the ginger beer. You can switch this out with some of those these like different flavors, simple syrups. This one's strawberry. Probably wouldn't, maybe it would be good in the ginger beer. I don't know, we'd have to try it. But the peach, the mango, super good with this. So you can do or the maple habanero is really good with the mule. But these are super cheap. They're like $2.99 in the grocery store. You just add a little bit of flavor to your cocktail. It's super simple. You do your whiskey, whatever your carbonation is, put a little swirl of whatever simple syrup or that you want, and it just makes a fabulous cocktail. So highly recommend this. This has got a nice kick to it. Not quite as sweet as the maple. We do that James's mule in here that everybody really likes. James's favorite mule. And we just are switching that up with the brown sugar. And it's just adding just a little bit different, so you get to try something a little bit different. But I really like it. And the bite of the ginger beer is really good. So this one, Ashlyn tried, and she thought this was, I hope, Ashlyn, you really enjoyed this, but this one she really enjoyed. It was with the, it's done with the mint whiskey. I'm gonna put just a little bit of ice in here. Okay, so I've got a nice, sorry about that. I'm gonna get a nice, I like this one really cold, so I'm going to put a lot of ice in this one. If I was doing it in the big jar, I'd fill it with ice and then get the mint going. So I'm going to take the mint whiskey, if I can figure out where I put it. Oh, here it is. If you guys haven't tried the mint whiskey, and even if you say, hey, I know, Laura, I know you love that really, I promise you that sweet heat is going to be coming back. I'm just got to get it together and get it done, but I am super excited about that one. This mint, even if you're not a huge mint fan, if you mix this with like lemonade, sweet tea, any of your juices, I make a really good like morning mimosa type thing with the mint, the orange pineapple juice and Sprite, or champagne or white wine would be really good to do a spritzer. This mint just makes it super vibrant. It's going to be great in your hot chocolates and your coffees and, you know, hot tea. Think the warm cider, this was really good. Jim Newborn had me try that, and I got to tell you, the mint just kind of made it really vibrant. It doesn't have a heavy mint taste when you mix it, unless it's like the hot chocolate. That's when you kind of taste it a little bit more. So this one is the mint. I do the mint. Love you too, Alan. Uncle Alan, good to see you. So I'm going to add 1 ounce of the mint in this little tasting jar. And then I'm going to take just a swirl of this strawberry. I was trying to figure out a way that we could do this. This is my second favorite of our tasting perfect mix. I love this. So this is just done with the strawberry one. This is, again, something you can add to lemonade. You can add to your Sprite with your mint whiskey. You can do this super simple. I'm just going to put a tiny little drizzle because this strawberry is very sweet. And then we're going to do this with the Tom Collins. I thought that the strawberry with the sour of the Tom Collins with that lemon, so the mint, it's almost like a mint lemonade, strawberry lemonade type thing, but the sour of the Tom Collins adds a really nice dimension to the strawberry. So it's getting kind of full here. You can see with the whiskey and with the strawberry in here, and I'm just going to put a splash of this Tom Collins. It doesn't need much. So maybe an ounce, maybe equal parts of Tom Collins and and whiskey, and then just your swirl of the strawberry puree. And then we're going to make this a little sweet because we're going to add Sprite. But this would be one you could do club soda with, or I've got a strawberry Perrier that I would do with those. They sell those at Walmart, those tall cans. This would be one if you wanted to add a little less sugar to it, that you could substitute those out. I would do this same exact cocktail, low carb for me. I would do a shot of the mint in my strawberry Perrier, or a strawberry bubbly or strawberry flavor, and then I would do a good squeeze of lemon in it. And so it would be the mint, the strawberry seltzer of some sort, and then a squeeze of lemon, and you'd get a low carb version of this exact cocktail. Again, it's not going to have the sweetness and that to it, but it's going to be pretty good. And I'm going to top this one with Sprite. And I will tell you, this one came out really, really, really good. You could muddle some mint in here if you want to get a little fancy. Again, you guys know I'm not real fancy here. So with this one, I'm going to do just a little squeeze of lemon. So I'm just putting a little squeeze of lemon in there, and I've mixed this up. It's got a great, with a Tom Collins mix, that little bit of sweet strawberry, and then I've got the Sprite in there and the mint whiskey. This is definitely one if you are going to pick one this weekend, I highly recommend this. I think that strawberry Tom Collins, I usually do this with the orange whiskey, but I think this mint just makes that strawberry really stand out. And then I'm going to, I promise you, that's the next one. And then just that little bit of Sprite on top of it, that carbonation just kind of blends it all together. Wow, that one's really good. You can do that sweet, less sweet. I can add a little bit more strawberry, less strawberry. And that's just where you got to play with those purees and decide what level you like it at. I mean, some people like it super sweet, and I try to ask that in the tasting room. It's one of the things that I really try to gear the cocktails towards you guys when you come in. One of the things that Kat and I do when we're here together, or, you know, when Mace and Sarah are working on that, we say, tell me what you like to drink. Sweet, not sweet. Do you want to taste the whiskey? You don't want to taste the whiskey. That is one, you do not taste the whiskey. So if you want to make this, if you've got a group, if you want to do pitcher worthy, this one would be so pretty done in a pitcher with some fresh strawberries in it and some lemons. And then you've got the mint whiskey in it and that stuff. You could take this out on your last days on the boat this at the end of this. Have friends over for a, you know, fabulous Friday happy hour. That would be one, we call that pitcher worthy. And pitcher worthy means that you would make it by the pitcher and everybody would drink it. So that is definitely a pitcher worthy cocktail, the strawberry one. So last one I'm going to do is this pineapple upside down. I introduced this cocktail the first year we did the brown sugar cinnamon. So I'm going to say that was in 2017. We're on year 3 with the brown sugar cinnamon. I will tell you, this poor bottle of whiskey sits on the shelf most of the year until now. October 1st, I don't know, you guys just go a little crazy with the pumpkin spice and the caramel macchiatos and, you know, just getting the spice. This one goes with all kinds of stuff. You can do the peach puree. You can do this apricot one that I did today. You can do pineapple. The simply apple juice and ginger ale would be super good with this. You can add this to the warm mulled cider, which is one of the tasting room favorites. I just can't say enough. If you guys have a family member that you want to buy a gift for this Christmas, this is the one that I would do. It would be the brown sugar cinnamon with a bag of our mulling spice with the apple juice. It is just, it's a go-to favorite for everybody. As soon as the weather goes underneath about 60 degrees, I have a crock pot full of the warm mulled cider. People come in. We do it with these fancy little mugs that you guys get to take home with you. We fill this with a brown sugar cinnamon or whichever other whiskey you'd like to try with the warm mulled cider. It is, if you guys are going to be entertaining this fall, it is the go-to. You can make it for everybody. Anybody can drink it, grandmothers, kids, everything. And then I'd have the bottle of whiskey on the side and just put a shot in there during that. So this brown sugar cinnamon is definitely a favorite. So what I'm going to do with this one is with my tasting jar, I'm going to add 1 ounce of the brown sugar cinnamon to this one. There's also a recipe, I'll make sure I post the link today on this because this is probably a big favorite. Kat and I've made this and it is to die for. It is a recipe called crack cake. And the crack cake that they do is with white wine. And so it's just a box cake and pudding and butter and this wine. We substitute the wine for the brown sugar cinnamon whiskey. The fun part about that is you can interchange the puddings, you can interchange the cake recipes, you can interchange any of the whiskeys in there, and you can just kind of build that up and do your own flavor profile with this. But I think the brown sugar cinnamon for the fall is fabulous. You could add a pumpkin pudding or something to that the butterscotch would be super good with it. But this brown sugar cinnamon whiskey is fabulous in this cake. So I'm taking 1 shot of 1 ounce of the brown sugar cinnamon whiskey. And then I'm going to add my pineapple juice. So I've opened up a can of the pineapple juice. I would recommend if you guys are doing this at home, just get that little 6-pack of the pineapple juice or get the jug that you can use because a big jar of this, unless you're going to drink a heck of a lot of these brown sugar cinnamon ones, which you might, I don't know. They're that good, I think. But this pineapple juice is super easy. And then I'm going to do about halfway full on the pineapple juice. So I have done, you guys remember my lines that I use? I did 1 ounce of the brown sugar cinnamon and I filled right to the Springfield Distillery with pineapple juice, okay? So I've done that and then I'm just gonna fill this with ginger ale. I'm gonna top that with that. And then just because, as you guys know, with a pineapple upside down cake, the best part of it is the maraschino cherries that cook on the bottom. So I'm gonna add a cherry to this. So I've got my brown sugar cinnamon, my pineapple, and the ginger ale. And then I'm gonna take just a maraschino cherry and I'm gonna take just a smidge of that juice that goes in there. And I'm gonna tell you guys, this one is one we've done each year and this tastes just like a pineapple upside down cake. God, this one's so good. You've got that brown sugar that, you know, when you put the brown sugar on the bottom of the pineapple upside down cake, especially if you do it in a cast iron skillet, and you put that brown sugar butter on underneath it, and then you lay your cherries, and then you do the rings of the pineapples, and then you bake the cake on top of that. That is just what this tastes like. It's just like dessert, you know, as a cocktail. So you get the whiskey and the dessert, but this is super yummy. Dessert. This is the finale. That was really, really good. So I'm going to recap so you guys know what I've done. These 4 are definitely on, I think I did 5 cocktails. I think I might have done 5 cocktails. Did I do 4 or 5? Okay, so the first one is going to be, the very first one I did was the grapefruit one. So I did, this is this one. So in this grapefruit one, I did the orange whiskey. I did a splash of grapefruit juice, probably equal parts. 1 ounce of whiskey or shot of whiskey, 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces of the grapefruit juice. And then I would top with this grapefruit half and half. But if you wanted it a little bit sweeter, substitute like the Sprite for it. Or if you don't want it sweeter, I would do club soda with that. If you just don't want any kind of sweetness with it, that grapefruit, that Simply Grapefruit is nice and tart. And that's mellowed with the orange. It's really good. But if you want it sweeter, substitute either the maple whiskey or the honey whiskey for it. Or I just want to try this really quick with my honey simple syrup because I think, yep, this is the honey one. So if I was going to do the honey whiskey with this one, I'm just going to put a little splash of the honey simple syrup in it just to see with this grapefruit one if you do want a little bit of sweetness. I think that this might add a little bit to it. That little bit of honey kind of cuts that grapefruit. So if you're not a big grapefruit fan, you've got to like grapefruit. You've got to like grapefruit with this one, but I still think it's really, really good. The second one I did was, I believe was the mule. This mule I would just do with 1842, The brown sugar simple syrup, I think, worked really, really well with this, and just ginger beer. If you don't want to spend the money on the Gosling's ginger beer, do yourself a favor and get the bold ginger ale. I don't know if I have any here anymore, but the bold ginger ale from Canada Dry, fabulous, and it's a lot less expensive. It's a 2 liter is like, you know, $1.50, $1.60 or something like that at Walmart. And that goes a long way. So if you guys want to do that, they do carry it. I think I posted this the other day. They do carry it in a 12 pack. So that makes a really fun, that you can do multiple cocktails in the 12 pack. A little bit more expensive, but you're not wasting a 2 liter on that. This one's really good if you want to taste the whiskey, if you like that 1842. That's a really good mule. It's done with the brown sugar. It's going to be our brown sugar mule with that one. The next one I think I did was the strawberry one. This one, it was done with the mint whiskey, a little bit of this strawberry puree simple syrup, a splash of the Tom Collins mixer. I really like this one. I just think this Tom Collins one is really good. I think Master of Mixes also does it, but I think that this for our grocery stores is fabulous. If I don't clear the shelves, I'm really sorry at Food Lion. It's a place, they don't really have this so much at Walmart so much. But the other thing I want to tell you is, if you guys are big Tom Collins drinkers, order it from walmart.com. It's super cheap, and it's a 2-day delivery. They'll deliver it to you if you order a certain amount on Walmart. They'll actually ship it to you for free. But this is super easy to get. And Kat told me that Gosling's ginger beer actually does a 12-pack ship to you, 2-day shipping, and it's like $12, under $12. So the mixers in that, if you guys can't find them in the stores here locally, definitely go on to walmart.com because they're super easy about doing that. This one is done with the Tom Collins mix, a little bit of the strawberry puree, and Sprite. So this is like a strawberry mint sour. It's super good. This one might be my favorite this week. I think that one's super good. And then we finished with my pineapple upside down. This one was done with the brown sugar cinnamon. Oh, I missed one. I missed the apricot one. I'm so sorry. I think the apricot one is somewhere here that I did. It's done with the maple whiskey, a little bit of the apricot puree that I made with the jam and the boiling water, and a little bit of ginger ale. That's just got a nice little blend of flavors with it. Highly recommend that one. And then the pineapple upside down was my last one. So I've got 5 on here. This one is brown sugar cinnamon, pineapple juice, ginger ale, and a splash of the maraschino cherry, a little bit of juice in that. Fabulous. We're going into some fall flavors. I think it is going to be super good. So I really hope that you guys enjoy that. I appreciate you guys watching us. Share. Just to note, next week, I think we were going to be introducing some really good giveaways. So make sure you're watching and sharing. We're going to have a nice little structure of how we're going to be doing some prizes. I stink at making sure I keep up with it. So I've got some really good support being able to do that. So I really hope that you guys will watch, share, and do that. So I hope you guys enjoy that. And this weekend, we're just running the tasting room. Just as a note, we're closing at 4 o'clock on Saturday for a private party. Unfortunately, our food truck canceled. So it's just going to be us, but we'll have Birdie's pimento cheese and Firehouse Firehook crackers and Capital chips and some salsa and things like that. So we hope you guys will join us this weekend. Thanks for watching. You guys keep it simple and enjoy. Thanks.